If you're an Nvidia or AMD shareholder, you might have seen in the past 24 hours that there are reports that the United States plans to curb sales of AI GPUs into more countries, so increase export restrictions. And some might see this as an ultimate bear thesis. While I do believe there are some questions coming out of this, I'm going to say most of this is going to be headline risk opposed to actual revenue risk. So throughout this episode, I'm going to take a closer look at what the revenue is for all these companies in these affected countries. Also, we're going to take a closer look at some big companies making investments in countries like Malaysia and Thailand. And I just want to share my overall thoughts as well. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so first, I just want to start off by saying happy 4th of July to everybody watching. Thank you for all the support. We also just hit 70,000 subs. We're trying to hit 75,000 by the end of the year. I'm hopeful that we're going to get there, but I just wanted to say thank you. Hopefully you had a great time with your family and going to have a great time with your family this weekend. Now, the main topic is this right here. So there are reports that the United States is planning on doing some curb sales of AI GPUs. The reports is coming out to Bloomberg, and is that the United States government is preparing a new set of export rules that would tighten control over the exports of advanced Nvidia AI GPUs. I'm pretty sure it's all AI GPUs, so you can include AMD in here as well, and anybody that's going to kind of break that overall threshold to Malaysia and Thailand. And the main reason, or the reason the United States government is going to do this, is to prevent the re-export of these components to China amid existing bans. Now, Bloomberg also states that in this preliminary version, the U.S. Commerce Department would require companies to obtain a U.S. government export license before sending AI chips to the two Southeast Asian countries. And this is normal practice, right? Even with any export restrictions, it's like, sure, we'll do these export restrictions. All you have to do is get a license. Depending on how severe the U.S. government believes these countries are sending to maybe China or other adversaries, the likelihood of getting those licenses are pretty low. Now, I am going to explain why I'm not too worried regardless in a bit, but first I want to kind of jump into the revenue breakdown. And actually, this is another reason. So in forms of revenue breakdown, here we can look from fiscal.ai that I have a stack of Nvidia's revenue for the most recent from last trailing 12 months. And here you see the United States, you see China, you see Taiwan, and you see Singapore. This little small amount, about probably 5% of total revenue, is other countries. Other countries include obviously Thailand, and Malaysia. But it includes a lot of other countries as well. So theoretically, in forms of revenue breakdown, you would think that those two countries are super small, and you would kind of brush off this news. Similar with AMD, right? You kind of see other countries being such a small portion of its company's total revenue that you would brush it off completely. Now, that would be the case if the revenue recognition was on AI chips, on where the chips are being shipped to. But it's not. It's where the billing is being sent to. And we kind of saw this with the Singapore revenue, right? Many bearish theses were saying, look, Jose, the bearish thing for Singapore is all these chips are being sent to Singapore and they're just shipping it to China. But NVIDIA says, look, this is not the case. Singapore is usually a big billing place where all these even US-based companies bill over there, but we ship the places somewhere else. So in my opinion, I still believe Malaysia and Thailand are going to be a small part of overall revenue, but not as small as many might think. I do believe some of this Singapore revenue is actually chips being shipped to Thailand and to Malaysia. I am hopeful that maybe something like this will force NVIDIA in the future to also even give us a breakdown of where chips are being shipped to, so we don't have to kind of do the guessing game ourselves. So before we go on a little bit more data, though, I want to say If you haven't, make sure to hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button. If you want to check out my free newsletter, What the Chip Happened on the Semiconductor and AI Market, the link is down below. And if you want the pretty cool charts that I use on a daily basis for my videos and my investment platform, check out fiscal.ai/Jose for 15% off any paid plans automatically. I use this platform on a daily basis, and you're not going to regret using this platform if you're really, really in this investing game set. Now, I want to talk about how this is, even though we saw small revenue is coming from other countries, how Malaysia and Thailand, my apologies there, Thailand, are both crucial portions of data center revenue. And the main reason is big cloud server providers like Oracle, like Microsoft, like AWS, like Google are building massive amounts of AI data center solutions in those countries. We could see Oracle to invest $6.5 billion to set up cloud facilities in Malaysia. We can also see Microsoft will launch first cloud region in Malaysia with 3 data centers by mid-year, around a $2.2 billion investment. We see that AWS region in Malaysia is expected to spend around $12.1 billion through about 2038. So big cloud server providers are spending a lot of money in Malaysia building a lot of AI chips. You also have individual sovereign AI companies like YTL, which I believe it's more of a Malaysian-based company, is building a lot of supercomputers in that region. So even though, right, we saw that the Thailand and the Malaysia revenue was pretty small in forms of other countries, theoretically, there is a lot of investments happening in those regions. And this was just mainly in Malaysia. You're going to see very similar in Thailand as well. So there is some stuff to consider there, and there are some risk. But I do believe at the end of the day, this is going to be more headline risk than actual revenue risk. So I think the first thing, and we've kind of seen it with this current administration, is AI chips and AI technology is being used as a trade tactic. Both Thailand and Malaysia have yet to finalize a trade deal framework. So this could be used as a way to accelerate that and to be used as a trade tactic. The other thing is, I personally don't believe it would be much of an impact if the data centers are US-based companies. Like we saw, a lot of the investments are coming from Oracle, from Microsoft, from Google Cloud, from AWS. And if that continues, I believe the licenses are going to be given. Maybe it might take an extra few weeks for it to get approved due to kind of just the paperwork and everything. But I think these data centers are still going to be A-okay, and there's not going to be much of a revenue impact. The biggest impact would be in forms of sovereign AI, maybe a company like YTL Power, where it's not a US-based data center, and other form of academics and research, sovereign research that is happening in those markets and in those countries. But I believe those are a small portion of the total revenue, so it really wouldn't be too much impactful. The biggest risk I thought would have been to companies like Oracle and Amazon and Microsoft, but again, I think the US, knowing that these are US-based countries, are going to give the A-okay for them. And that won't be a massive risk at all to these countries. And again, I believe it's going to be more of a trade tactic. Now, there are some questions I have. So while the reports are showing that in this draft regulations do suggest that exemptions to these restrictions are going to be used to prevent supply chain disruption. And I think that is going to be super important, because AI servers, a lot of AI servers do get built in Malaysia and Thailand. A lot of these companies that build AI servers have facilities there. So theoretically, a lot of AI chips get shipped there, even though you don't kind of get much of the chips being built out there or run there, right? But they get at least built there. So my question is, how will it impact the supply chain line? And based on the reports and the regulations, or the draft on the regulations, it does seem like that is trying to be prevented, but there's always going to be some hiccup with something like this. So again, I'm going to say it's more than headline risk, than actual revenue risk. And the reason I wanted, even though that's the case, the reason I brought up the other information is so you can be more informed if some of these things come to the highlight in the kind of medium of articles or other type of media, if they start to say, look, but Oracle sends all these chips and blah 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 and blah blah blah, I wanted to get you informed as quickly as possible. And again, I believe that those US based companies, those US data centers, are not going to have much to worry about, except maybe getting that license. And I do believe those licenses would be approved with the current administration, as they wouldn't want to hurt US based companies. And I could see this being maybe more bullish for Oracle and Amazon and Microsoft, because if it does come to truth, they're going to have less competition in those markets, which will allow them to grab even more market shares in those regions. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.